Hello everyone, it's Daniel, Modern Identity Lead from Formula 5. In this video, we are going to talk about native authentication with Microsoft Entra External ID. Okay, so let's start with the current state. Probably we are all familiar with this approach, especially on mobile devices, where we click sign in button within the application and we are redirected to the system browser where we have to complete login process. Okay, so when we are on the iOS device, for instance, we click sign in button within mobile application, Safari is open, the login page is visible, and we have to provide our credentials like username and password. And once we are successfully authenticated, we are redirected back to the application with a set of tokens underneath. And this approach is fine, however, it has some limitations, especially when it comes to building crafted to perfection UIs in mobile devices, in mobile applications to be more precise. So that's why with Microsoft Entra External ID, we have native authentication. So with native authentication, we can avoid this redirection to the system browser and we can craft our login and registration pages to perfection directly within the application code. So we have the power to construct engaging sign up and sign in journeys directly within applications. This API-centric approach not only grants the flexibility in design, but also enables development of highly tailored interactions and flows. Okay, so how can we integrate with native authentication in Microsoft Entra External ID? So External ID native authentication can be integrated with either Microsoft Authentication Library in Android and iOS applications. So this is the official certified library provided by Microsoft. And if for any reason we cannot use MSAL, we can also directly integrate native authentication API within our application using native authentication API endpoints. So in this specific scenario, we don't use any library, we integrate with native authentication API directly. So let's talk about some currently supported operations with native authentication API. So we can assign in users with both username and password or username and OTP. We can sign up users, only local accounts for now at the moment of recording this video. Sign out users, self-service password reset is also possible, so we can reset users' passwords directly from the application. And also, if there is any scenario or any reason where we cannot use native authentication API, there is web fallback support. It means that if some operation requires this redirection to the web browser and displaying the web browser on the mobile device, we can use this web fallback here functionality. So MSAL will automatically open Safari on iOS device, for instance, and from there we will be able to complete specific operation. So this is very important to be mentioned, that we can implement native authentication API, we can integrate this API in our application, craft our pages to perfection, but if for some reason we cannot achieve some scenario with native authentication API, there is always this fallback support option for us. Great, so that's about the theory. Now it's time to see it in action. Let's start with Entra Admin Center. Here is my Entra External ID tenant. Under user flows, I created new user flow called sign in, sign up native. For the identity providers, I selected email with password, so the local accounts. Under applications, I have only one application associated with this specific user flow. This application is called SIAM Native Client Application. Let's see it now. This is my application also registered in this tenant. And under Authentication tab here, when I scroll down to Advanced Settings, you can see that under Enable the following mobile and desktop flows, I selected yes. And also under Enable Native Authentication, I selected yes. Great. So right now, my application is ready for the integration. So now let's switch to Android Studio to see how Android application is integrated with Entra External ID using native authentication SDK. Here is Android Studio with the sample application for Android that is using native authentication SDK. So let's explore a couple of things. First of all, we have to integrate our application with our Entra External ID tenant. So that's why under native auth JSON config file, we have to provide authority URL, which is the URL of my Entra External ID tenant, and also the client ID of this mobile application. And now when it comes to source code, let me open that really quickly. This is Java and Kotlin. Let's investigate one of the flows. So here I will select email password sign in sign up fragment. Okay. And now within this fragment, there is a method called sign up. So we can see that obviously we are binding some text fields. So we have to get the email, the password, and obviously then we have to call native authentication API. And to be more precise, one of the methods provided by SDK in the MSAL library, so Microsoft Authentication Library. So here is the auth client, as we can see, and there is sign up method. And as a parameters, we have to pass the username and the password. And obviously, we will have some response, so action result. And obviously, there can be different kinds of action results. One of the, I would say, the most often that we will see is the code required. So before we can create user account, we have to provide the OTP code that is sent to our email address. And obviously, once the operation is completed, we display information that sign up was successful and now user is signing in. So as we can see here under code required, if the sign up result equals code required, we will navigate to sign up page with the specific next state parameter from action result. And now under this navigate to sign up here, we can see that here we will open another fragment. Okay, so in this specific case, we are opening sign up code fragment. And this is basically the place where, let me scroll up, we have verify code method. So here we are getting the current code, and obviously after we submit this code using submit code method, we will get the action result. So if the code was successful, the one that we provided from the email message, we are displaying toast, sign up successful, signing in, okay? And then user can basically sign in. So as we can see here, under sign in after sign up method, we are signing in user. So here under the current state, we have sign in method and we are signing user in. And once operation is completed successfully, we are displaying this toast, sign in successful. And obviously we are displaying the ID token that was returned from Microsoft Entra External ID. Okay, so now let me open the emulator and show you this behavior. Okay, so here is the emulator launched with our sample application integrated with Microsoft Entra External ID. And now what I will do, I will switch to the sign up view. Here I will provide the email address that I copied. So this is my test email. And also I will provide the password, which will be formula123 at. Okay. And then I will click sign up button. As we can see, after a few seconds, the code fragment is displayed. So now the OTP code was sent to my email address that I provided, and I have to copy this code here to proceed. So let me grab the code and get back here. Okay, great. So I have the code, I have to paste it, and I will click next button. And right now underneath, as you can see, there is sign up successful, toast displayed, and sign in successful. And I have the access token and ID token returned from Entra External ID. So now I can use those tokens like ID token to inform application who the user is, and also use the access token to call some API, like the one that I registered in Entra External ID. Perfect. So as we can see, what I can do, I can also use custom attributes, so provide custom attributes for sign up for the users. An important fact is that the whole application UI is developed natively. So as you can see, there is no redirection to external browser on the mobile device. That's it about native authentication in Microsoft Entra External ID. I hope you found this video interesting and helpful. If you still have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me using my email currently displayed on the screen. I also encourage you to check other videos about Formula 5's External Identities Hub architecture, the accelerator we built to help our clients build customer identity and access management solutions faster with Microsoft Entra External ID. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next videos.